Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I am your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, Patricia Kirkman. Miss PK, how are you?
I'm doing fine. And yourself, my dear?
I'm doing great. We actually had a sunny day today amidst all those rainstorms. Oh, my God, it's been awful. But today was beautiful. So I can imagine what it's like. I can only imagine what it's like to live in Tucson, where it's sunny most of the time.
Well, it's been a little yucky the last couple of days. Not too bad, not too great, but not bad. All things considered.
Good. So what do we got going on with the numbers? What's happening?
Well, we've now gone into our 6th universal month. And the 6th month is all about family type situations, and alternative medicine. Taking a look at some of the things that are out there. And the most important thing is 6 deals with family, wanting everything perfect. But I think the most important thing to think about is the fact that it deals with the alternative medicines and what we can do to make things better. Everybody's going to want things to be perfect, but they've got to be careful about how they go about it, because like anything else, too much of anything is not good enough, okay? Or should we say over the top?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that sounds like that's it. So those are the things that we need to be aware of.
Well, the most important thing right now is when we're looking at the 6, it's all about family stuff, wanting everything to be perfect and trying to make things perfect in spite of what's going on around us. What's going on universally and personally, we're going to be kind of like walking into a wall on occasion or two, because we're looking for things to be perfect. And as we can see with what's going on in the world, it's not happening.
No.
It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to be coming about
at
the springtime.
We've got to get Jeff on as quickly as possible.
Definitely. I want to know what's happening. He's got me so curious. I can't wait.
I know it is. We're so lucky to have him back.
Oh, gosh, yes, for sure.
He's got, I know, some very important information for everybody. And let me tell the audience who may not be aware of Jeff, who Jeff is. Jeff Harman is our guest tonight. He is a 2nd-generation, world-renowned master astrologer and spiritual advisor with 48 years of experience. There he is with his gorgeous wife, Camille.
Yes, she's very special, too.
Yes. Jeff uses ancient techniques, including classical, Vedic, Nadi, Kabbalistic, and astrolocation astrology, combined with decades of Vedic planetary gem prescription. I love to hear about that.
Oh, he's on top when it comes to any of that. I get so excited knowing that he's going to be on tonight.
I know. Plus, you and I both love gems, do we not?
Oh, well, I'm forced into it. You know how it is. It's a woman's best friend, right?
It is mine, definitely. So Jeff also draws from many other traditions of spiritual knowledge for clearing people and property of unwanted energies, and he is a consultant for paranormal investigations. Jeff's specialty is electional astrology, the art of selecting auspicious times to sign contracts, release product, travel, and schedule weddings, surgery, and other important events.
Right.
Jeff has a remarkable client base and data bank of thousands of case studies. He's spoken for IONS, the Conscious Life Expo, MUFON, Joshua Tree Retreat Center, and the Association of Celebrity Personal Assistants. He has been a guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, Veritas Radio, Fade to Black, and many, many other radio, TV, and web shows. And we are honored to have him with us tonight. Welcome.
Hey, yes, thank you for having me. All right.
We're excited to have you with us.
Yes, very great to have you.
Green is a little messed up because I can't see either one of you.
Uh-oh. Well,
Yeah,
I can see
I
you.
can see you.
Yeah.
Well,
See Jeff.
I guess I'm odd man
And I
out
like that
tonight.
necklace you got on.
I can't
That's cool.
see you, but I can hear you.
All
Oh,
right. Well, I can see your cool necklace. I like that.
Oh, thank you. It's what hangs me up every once in a while.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, Jeff, off the air, we were all talking about what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine. So, can we start there? Because I know people are a bit nervous because things are precarious right now. They're supposed to be doing a peace deal, but what happened recently was very frightening with this drone attack by Zelensky in Russia. It's just unconscionable that he would do this kind of thing. And that was what, with NATO behind it?
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine does not have the resources. There's a lot of, I've been listening to a lot of different opinions on that, and I looked at the astrology on that. Actually, what's mysterious about all of this is that they had to have some pretty, advanced intelligence to do what they did. And
Definitely.
there's, again, here we're rearing that head. We've been hearing about like deep state versus, the government that we think is running this place. So clearly there was some things that were hidden from the White House and Trump and the administration in order for this to happen like it did. And, I was listening to a couple of generals on this, Michael Flynn, as well as Jack Keating, General Kellogg, and they all said the same thing. They said this was a very advanced strike, even though they did it with kind of stealthy, not real sophisticated equipment, but it was a combination of it. And I don't think they could have pulled this off, meaning Ukraine against Russia. I mean, they went deep on the eastern side of Russia, and they took out like a third of their bomber force, and that's nuclear bombers. These aren't just, simple things. So this is a powerful, deep strike. And what's concerning about this is the astrology is mirroring this to the T. And I've been really warning about this, that it would ramp up at this time. And I think it's going to into July and even potentially start to resolve in August. Let's hope, because we were talking about this before the show. There's a very special astrological condition going on right now, and it's referred to as a Kala Sarpa yoga. And you might say, what the heck is that? Because that's what I said when I first heard it, right? Kala means time, and Sarpa means serpentine. The easy way to explain it, if you take the eclipse points of the moon, which are also known as Rahu and Ketu, or many Western astrologers known as the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon. And they're really nodal points, just mean where the sun and the moon and the earth align in eclipse points. But those points stay hot. All the planets are on one side of those nodes right now. Now, the moon breaks this every 2 weeks. That's always the case. But Kalasarpa yogas are known throughout millennia to bring very strange events. JFK was assassinated right next to one. Major wars break out on these. The difference right now, and I pray that what I'm about to tell you is right, is we don't have the major outer configurations to show that we go into like World War III.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, that's real good. Yeah. And speaking of our extraterrestrial quote unquote friends, you remember Admiral Byrd was pulled down under Antarctica back in, I think it was the late 40s, with a huge mission. And he was told by beings that are believed to inhabit this planet under the ocean, in the center of the earth, all this stuff, that we will intervene if there's ever an all-out nuclear exchange. And, I had the wonderful opportunity with George Parks. I don't know if you guys remember him. He passed away here a few years ago. Really nice guy. He headed MUFON in Tucson. And he had asked me, he said, Jeff, do some research on some of these astrological events, Roger Shear as well. And I looked into this, and I was talking about this on George Norrie's show on Coast to Coast. And essentially, we found a lot of this major events, like particularly everyone's familiar with Minot Air Force Base. These are commanders coming forward. These are not guys, out drinking on Friday night. These are really focused people and really smart people. And they said, hey, we saw light orbs around our installations, and afterwards we're replacing circuit boards. The stuff didn't work. So clearly there is forces, call them angels, call them extraterrestrials. I think it's a little bit of both, actually, that are here maintaining divinity. In fact, you even hear about this in some of the ancient texts like the Vedas, the Upanishads, where divinity, God, whatever you want to call it, brings down into creation certain events, people, or beings, if you will, to keep creation functioning so that it doesn't get totally disrupted. Not that we don't have disruptions and crazy stuff go on. I mean, look what the killing that's going on in so many of these wars. And this was really scary. I mean, when, we're so sanitized sitting here in America because we only know what the mind control news tells us. But when you really hear about the amount of people that are dying over there, I mean, it is pretty formidable. They say it's the most people killed since World War II in any war, including apparently the Vietnam War. So this is
a big money laundering scheme. I mean, it's, all these wars are making money for people, not us.
You bet.
But these are money laundering schemes, and Zelensky's at the head of a lot of this. Not that he created it, but he knows how to profit from it. It's very sad. But so it sounds like what you're saying is we're going to go back and forth with seeing some of this type of thing, these sneak attacks.
Yep.
Until August. And then in August, does it settle down and resolve?
Yeah, I think it's going to start to settle down then. That's what I get. And, I have to say the astrology mirrors this stuff to the T. We were talking before the show, when you look at like World War I, World War II, these major events, COVID, 9/11, if we went back through history, there's always major astrological configurations. When I say major, you're usually going to have Saturn and Jupiter or Saturn and Pluto involved in some capacity. Uranus can be in there too. See, Uranus right now is sweeping over the Pleiades, and it's hitting that's known as the Seven Sisters. There's a lot more planets than that in there, but that's the ancient legends from the Greeks. Remember, Atlas held up the sky for them, and there's many different versions of that, but essentially they were either cast into Hades as one version. Another version is that he hid them there in the Pleiades so that they wouldn't get killed. Well, anyways, Uranus is sweeping over all these fixed stars, and every time it does, and that's about every 84 to 86 years, because that's what we call a fancy word called the synodic cycle. That's how long it takes Uranus to simply go around the solar system. And I can tell you every time it does, there's major calamities. Let's look back 84 to 86 years ago, World War II. Let's go back 84 to 86 years before that, Civil War. 84 to 86 years before that, Revolutionary War. And if you keep leapfrogging back, it's kind of so accurate, it's creepy that these bring major changes and rearrangements in the structural, areas of society. And this is what we're seeing right now. Except what I have to say is more encouraging about this one is we're not seeing some of the more malefic aspects lining up at this time. So it looks like a dicey time, but I think we're going to get through it. I think it was Rothschild or one of them like that said that, I make more in one day of war than I do in a year of peace. And you said it best. It's a coin operated world.
It is. It is. It's really sad. But now you were just a contact in the desert, schmoozing with all the greats out there. And tell us, what do you see in the stars? On behalf of the aliens and ETs, are they going to be doing a mass landing? Are they going to be just contacting more people individually? What do you see happening, and what does your astrology tell us about this?
Well, that's an interesting one because I get asked that a lot. And I don't know, personally, there's two camps. There's those who want the landing on the White House lawn, or what they want is a official declaration from the government. Yes, we're involved. I mean, it was such a great panel. Linda Moulton Hall was there, Richard Dolan, Robert Sheehan, so many others were there, just really great people. And, that was the question put to them. I don't know that I see this flat out declaration coming out where, yes, it's true. But I do see that they're acknowledging it. And I think they're going to continue to acknowledge it. My personal opinion is I think it's a lot more like Men in Black than we're told. And I really do. I remember in the 60s and 70s, I was literally up in northern Wisconsin. I was categorizing and making maps of all these crafts that would hover over these lakes. I think it was about 1974, 75. I had a motorcycle shut down. I was coming home late one night, and it just shut my motorcycle down completely. And I mean, at that time, everybody smoked, right? So I had a Bic lighter, and I checked all the fuses, and 650 Triumph, those things are notorious anyhow, but it was dead. And long story short, I pushed it down to a friend of mine's house, and he gave me a ride home because I was a few miles yet. And we put it in the garage, and he's the one who caught this craft up there hovering. And I had seen that exact same craft on northern Wisconsin is full of lakes. It's like Minnesota. There's lakes every 3 miles, Mm-hmm. So they call it the land of lakes, actually. And I had seen this craft on a lake called Big St. Germain Lake. And I'd caught it. It flashed in my mirror up high at an angle. And that same craft was hovering probably, I don't know, maybe 600-700 yards up above the trees when it killed my motorcycle. But here's the interesting story. The next morning, I got a ride back over. My mother took me over. I drove the pickup truck. I was going to load it in the back, right? And I figured, well, what the heck? I'm just going to try this thing. And boom, starts right up. Ran like a top. Absolutely amazing. So, I could sit here all day and tell you stories.
Well, we all have them, and there's a lot of our listeners have their own. So there's no question that we know that these things are real, whether they're interdimensional or not, or whether they're from other planets or not, or both. Yeah. But and I think that the government has made itself pretty irrelevant in all of it, because we know not to trust them. We know that they're there only to weaponize things for their own use, and they could care less about us. So,
well, that was the discussion at Contact in the Desert. Is anyone really got evidence that we're working with extraterrestrial craft, reverse engineering? Absolutely. I was hired by a miner in Nevada. I think it was about 20 years ago, and they were prospecting, and they're out there with Ranger tells. These are devices that you could detect gold and silver with. And they brought me along because, for the astrology, and because I use interrogation on it. And I crawled up to the top of this mountain, and I'm looking, and it's north of Pahrump, right? And hot up there. And all of a sudden I noticed this dry lake bed and all these weird crafts hovering, and then they would come in and stop. And I said, what is that over there? He says, that's Area 51. I said, how about that? So, yeah. Nobody's going to tell me that we're not working with them.
Of course we are.
Linda Moulton Hall has done, what an amazing lady. I love her.
Yeah, she's done tremendous investigation, very, very thorough. Yes, but of course, and we know all of this, that we know that they've been doing all of this for many, many years. And they've been doing a disinformation campaign. They've killed some people who threatened to reveal the truth. So in my opinion, and PK, let me know if you agree, but I think it's much better if these entities connect with us directly. If they're that involved and they're invested in our consciousness being raised, then they need to bring it to us, not to the government, not to the higher ups. They need to bring it right to us.
Yeah, and I think they kind of are.
I wanted to know.
Bits and pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris Bledsoe and I were talking about that. He said, that whole incident, remember last fall when all these craft were coming around, people were saying it was drones and this and that. He said those were orbs. And I have to agree with, I think some were drones for disinformation. They were confusing us, but there was a lot of craft there.
Yeah.
I have seen so much here out by Malibu. There's a place called Zuma Beach and, of course, Point Doom. And just north of that, you got the Channel Islands, where there's this gargantuan underground base. You can actually, they took it away now. They erased it off of Google Maps, but you can actually see the cavern dome from Google originally. Now they've removed it. And I have seen so many craft out there, like a lot.
So let me ask you a question. There's been a lot of talk about Antarctica. The Anunnaki are returning, the giants and all of that. What do you see in the astrology with that?
I get that the next big phase is going to happen right around 2040 for something like that, but I could be wrong. That's the next Saturn-Jupiter conjunction. We also got a big hiccup coming in 2028. That's going to be the first Saturn-Pluto square. It's really interesting how these events in the world really strike with these major outer planet conjunctions, and particularly in COVID. I mean, you could have said you watched the COVID. That was a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And I mean, literally, that was exact in the tropical zodiac right around the third week of January. That's exactly when they hit the panic button. They shut the whole world down. There was discussions on the panel about that. Was that some type of a directive that was much higher up than just, quote unquote, the new one world order? And speaking of that, I really believe we are in a war right now, and have been for probably before Eisenhower mentioned it, and that is between the new one world order and the nationalists. And this last election, the nationalists won, and they don't like it. And we're seeing these undercurrents right now with these wars going on, the stuff in the Middle East, also the stuff that's going on in Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine and Russia, that rabbit hole goes far deeper than anyone's telling us. We've heard about the labs. Even Tucker Carlson was saying, he's running into people in Switzerland who are driving Bugattis and wearing designer clothes, and they're all Ukrainian. Wait a minute, you guys are supposed to be in a war.
That's
and
right.
You're over here,
look good,
cigars.
Yeah, they're living the good life with all of our tax dollars that we sent over there. So This is again money laundering, and that's why they want the war. They want to keep the money in their pockets, keep it coming, so they can buy more mansions, so Zelensky can have more yachts and whatever the hell else it is he's interested in buying. It's really sick. But the feeling that I get, and this is what I wanted to know from you, looking at the charts, is that this New World Order crap, it's very fractioned now. It's not fractionated. It's not as cohesive as it once was. And they certainly have deep reaches into things, but still, it doesn't feel the same. It feels like it's weakened.
I think it really has been. The fact that Trump got treated the way he did in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia. And
oh, my God.
That, you know what that did? That reassured the petrodollar. It just put the petrodollar back on the map, because where we were heading, and I still think they want this, and they're not going to give up. And between now and this late fall, we're in very big danger. They want World War III. They'd like to wipe out 3/4 of the human race. They really would. And the people surviving in the underground bunkers come out, So, this war will never end, in my opinion. And AI even makes it scarier because, when you watch the Terminator movies, it's interesting. The other night I walk in and Camille and Aiden are watching the Matrix, the first Matrix. And I never caught that when, Lawrence Fishburne, who played Morpheus, his character said to him, we had to block out the sun due to AI taking over. Well, again, Terminator 2 was one of my favorite. And that's the one, of course, where, John Connor is the little boy. And at the end of the film, Schwarzenegger's character, the robot, says, I know now why you cry. And I could never do that, so I must be destroyed. And I thought, well, we're really touching on what humanity's going to be going through. I think from now forward, we are really touching on the very machines we're creating could be what destroys us. And, that can come in a lot of fashions. I mean, there's been so many Hollywood movies. You look at Blade Runner, you look at, the Terminator series, of course, iRobot, and you go on and on. And, this gets back into who are we? We're really spiritual beings.
Well, who we are to, and who are we to the ETs and the interdimensionals? Because there are times that I look at us as people. We are bred for conflict. We really are. And it is very difficult for us to find that inner peace and stay there. I mean, we have been taught, I believe, genetically to become conflict mongers. And I think back about, well, who are we providing entertainment to? And I think we're providing entertainment to them. I really do. I mean, if you look at any screenplay, right? What do they tell you? If you want to write a great screenplay, it's got to have a lot of conflict, right?
That's right.
So they have that.
Right. Conflict is the art of drama. There's no doubt about it.
And we provide that just living our daily lives. I have to ask that question. Is this what we are to them? They don't want to let us destroy ourselves completely because we're endlessly entertaining.
Well, that's a really good subject that you're bringing up there. I love that because Vedic astrology, there's something that's extremely old that captured my attention about 40 years ago. I loved it. It's called the Kala Sarpa yoga, not Kala Sarpa, Kala Chakra. We were talking about the Kala Sarpa before. Sarpa means serpent. Now chakra means wheel. So Kala is time, chakra is wheel. And apparently, somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 years ago, this system was put down. It's like no other Vedic astrology I've ever seen. In fact, Vedic astrology is kind of a pop term. Its real name, Chakrapani is the guy who coined that. And he actually said that to me one time at dinner. Chakrapani just passed away here about a decade ago. Really great guy from India. My camera will come back on. And he basically said, Americans are never going to figure out what Jyotisha means, so we'll call it Vedic astrology. And that really stuck. And of course, Jyotisha is a word in Sanskrit and Tamil that means the science of the light of the soul. And going back to what you just said, we're bred for conflict. This might be a soul trap here.
Yes,
this whole dimension. The earth is a time machine. And in the Vedas and in many other ancient texts, particularly the Chaldeans too, some really interesting stuff. The Egyptians, the Chaldeans, and the Vedas are, and the rabbinical texts, blow your hair back. They actually talk about how there could be 49 parallel universes and 49 subdimensions. I mean, I can't balance my checkbook, let alone get my head around that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's very complex.
And we could have many higher dimensions and lower dimensions, and Earth seems to be a very important center point for the journey of the soul. Now you enter what really Jyotisha or Vedic astrology is. It's not just astrology. It's about the journey of the soul in the material realms. You know, can I share a screen? I'll show you one of my favorite diagrams. Yeah, let me do that. I'll just go to share a screen. Let me see if it allows me to do it. This is one of my favorite diagrams because it depicts this stuff. I think you have to give me permission.
Hey, Bill, can we get permission to share screen?
Yeah.
Well, share it with me because I can't see anything.
All right. Well, you know, we don't have to do this, but it's kind of there you go. Okay, good. All right. Well, here, by the way, here's a picture of myself and Linda Moulton Hall. See, I don't know if you can see that, but she's a little
tiny. Look at her.
Yeah. She's so sweet.
We should need to get her on the show. She's retired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's great. I mean, I'm going to get her on my podcast. So here's another one. This is the panel of everybody. I forget all the names, but you can see that's Linda over here. Here, you know what I'm going to do? Let me do this because I always like to have a pointer, and I don't have one on StreamYard. So we're just going to take 2 seconds here. Let me turn this off, turn that off, and start. And then bing bong, we will put this up here. Hang on a minute. There we go.
Hey, Linda's had access to things that we can only dream about. Yeah,
she's really an interesting lady, and she's so smart too. I mean, she's been around a long time. She's and she looks so amazing.
Yeah, she does. She's like you, PK. She looks super young.
She does. Yeah.
Okay, PK has a bunch of questions for you, so take it away.
Okay.
So you can hear me right now. Good.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
fine.
Good. Excellent. Okay, good. We're up and running then. Okay,
all right,
good.
Jeff, I've been asked quite a few questions that people have been asking me. Number one, with what's going on financially, what is going to happen with our, quote, United States dollar, money in general, and investments per se? And are they looking for the stock market to take a total dump? they're panicky about what to put where, or even if they should do anything. So your expertise, please.
Well, I get it's going to turn around and be okay from what I can see. I think it's going to be a rocky road. Again, this Kalasarpa yoga is really disrupting things in a lot of ways until I think this fall. But things look like they're going to turn around. There's been a lot of disinformation out there. I mean, when you look at, depending on which mind control news channel you listen to in the mainstream media, Orange Man is bad. Orange Man is destroying the world, and it's not true from what I get. I do get a lot of industry is coming back to the United States. It's very interesting mentioning Woodrow Wilson, who actually came in on a Saturn-Pluto conjunction with the Federal Reserve Act. And his wife kind of ran things too. And then Biden was the gateway out of this whole thing. And I think from what I saw, the spring equinox is a really predictive tool. In fact, the ancient astrologers going all the way back to the flood of Noah would pay attention to the great conjunctions, which happen about every 1,000 years. And then about every 200 to 240 years, we have the subconjunctions called the Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions. And then they would also look at each year's birth chart from the spring equinox forward. Well, this spring equinox was really powerful. And I get that we're going to see so much transformation in government. And this is why we're seeing so much disinformation right now. We don't have talk show hosts anymore. We have propaganda hosts. That's what we have. Johnny Carson, and maybe Jay Leno was probably the last one. And that's why they didn't like him too much either. And I really believe what we're seeing right now is the walls crumbling of a lot of this in-government control that Eisenhower had warned about. And I really think they're fighting back hard right now. If I'm reading the chart right, we're going to see with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel in there, a return to our administration actually running the country, because it hasn't been. And we're seeing this tug of war back and forth. We're actually seeing with Ukraine and Russia right now, too, behind the scenes, in my opinion. And I think when it all spills out, when this wave hits the shore, we're going to see so many people actually get indicted. And again, this goes back to the whole Doge thing, Elon Musk. The rabbit hole goes so deep on the stolen money. I think it's far, far greater than we'd ever imagine, even than what Doge had figured out. And you got to remember, they just discovered all this. And this just wasn't Elon Musk. This was a bunch of really smart CEOs that now have reformed this whole Department of Government Efficiency. And I think you're going to see things go on here that are going to get a lot of really powerful people in trouble. And that's why they're scrambling like they are. You bet it's good.
Now, one of the things that different ones are talking about, they're talking about the Bitcoin and such as that. But they're also talking about the fact that our money per se is going to be shut down, and the banks are only going to be able to allow us to have certain amounts of money, and everything's going to be overseen by the government. Is that in fact true?
Well, it has been overseen by the bankers ever since World War I.
Let's put it that way.
What's that?
I said worse than it's already been. You could have so much each month that you could take out of an account, but it's like some of these things, they're being told that these things are going to be overseen, that unless you have a certain amount of cash, but putting money into different areas is going to boomerang and come back at us in a very negative way.
Yeah, I mean, look at gold; it's at an all-time record high, and I think it's going higher. Yeah, and silver, I think, is going to start heading up. Silver's not.
It is right now.
Yeah, it is right now. I think what's going on right now with the tariffs, and again, there's been so much disinformation on that, and I'm not promoting any political agenda, but from what I can see in the astrology, this is the best thing that's happened to this country in 115 years. I really believe that. Actually, about 112 years, because it was 1913, right at the end, that this all happened. And that was such the bankers took this place over.
That's what they're worried about taking place again. That
they're going to try, but I don't think it's going to be successful. I hope not either, because we're history. I think right now, see, one of the most important things that I saw with Trump getting in was his inauguration chart. Every single president that gets inaugurated, you look at the chart. And what's interesting is when Biden's chart got it just looked horrible. And I just said, this is one of the worst inauguration charts I've ever seen. Well, look at what happened. Yeah. They didn't just try to destroy this country. They looted the treasury, and they literally did. In fact, I think it was Thomas Jefferson he said, if you want to destroy a country, loot the treasury on the way out the door. That's exactly what they did. This whole thing with the auto pen, this whole thing with all these things that people were pardoned on, all this backdoor funding, all this thievery that's been going on. I actually think if the charts are right, we're going to see hell come to breakfast between now and next year. That's what it shows.
What they've done.
And they're going to try and take Trump out. They'll never stop. I remember, Trump had Uranus, speaking of Uranus, going over the Pleiades. Trump has the Pleiades right at his midheaven. And Uranus crossed his midheaven precisely. I mean, just think back of last year, how insane it was. Here you got the guy being charged with 93 counts of all these different things, right? And paying out money, and, they tried to put him in jail. And then you see what's been happening since then, that assassination attempt. The bullets whizzed past Trump's ear precisely when Mars conjoined his midheaven. It's not doing that anymore. In fact, Mars is crossing his ascendant as we speak. And whether you like Trump or hate Trump, he is the president. And so it is kind of good. I actually see his chart being exceedingly strong over this next couple of years. He's going to be house on fire. Yeah.
Let me ask you, though, because I know what PK is getting at with where do you put your money? And now there's been some coins that have been discussed. Right. XRP is one, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Have you looked into any of those?
Yeah, I get a lot of clients calling me on that. I get a lot of traders. In fact, I'm actually teaching certain traders how to look at cryptos. You can do that with interrogation astrology. And another thing we've been playing with is the launch dates of cryptos. And I run the astrology out, and you can actually see what's going to go up and what's going to go down. And I have to say, I think cryptos are going to be heading up. And this whole thing, I personally think, from what the astrology says, my deduction is they're rearranging the banker control of this country. And the government's going to get involved with crypto. They already are.
Yes.
It's so this is not something that's going to stop. The biggest thing that I see, and everyone's fearful right now, but do you know how much money has been brought back to this country with these tariffs? And look at the disinformation we've seen. Oh, the world's going to end. Oh my God, we're going to go bankrupt. Everything's going to be horrible. There's been trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars pouring back into here with manufacturing. Now, it's never going to be like it was years ago. You're not going to see a machine shop on every corner, but you're going to see massive manufacturing brought back here on animation. I'll never forget, it was in the 80s. I went out with this girl, and she says, I want you to come to Thanksgiving dinner. I said, okay. And next thing I know, I'm sitting with Bill Rayburn, who was the president of Snap-on Tools. This is 40-something years ago, almost 45 years ago. And he told me, he said, Jeff, he said, it won't be long. He said, our whole operations are going automation. This is 40-something years ago. Mm-hmm. He said, we're going to take people with hundreds of employees, and now we're going to be able to run the same plant with 50 people, maybe less. And this is exactly what's been happening and what will continue to happen. We are in a high-tech era where it's going to be like the Jetsons in another 10 years. It already is. It just hasn't commercially taken hold.
What you're saying is, because PK was asking about the stock market, people are asking PK, where do I put my money? What's safe? So
technologies, you got to be careful. What I find is really accurate is interrogation astrology. Is it in my best interest to invest into this particular stock at this time? Mm-hmm. And Interrogation astrology is divinational. You literally look at the second house, that's your money. And if you put it in this slot, will it make money or lose? Or you put it in that one. So, you got to be careful with this stuff. I've worked with a lot of traders over the years, but it's an accurate tool to use. And you got to be careful because emotions come into play. I was working with a trader once. He was a commodities trader. It's like Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Aykroyd. And the guy asked me, he says, Jeff, he says, should I invest into this particular commodity? And I said, don't do it. He said, oh, no. He says, it was futures. I think it was wheat or something, or cattle's at futures. And he would have made a fortune. And so he gets on, he hangs up the phone. He gets on the phone with his buddy and the broker, and they talk him into it. Next day, he calls me up. He's in tears. He says, I'm selling houses. I'm selling cars. I'm broke. He said, the astrology was right. I said, yeah, I know. But see how emotions work? My son, he uses me a lot for trading. And he said, Dad, should I invest into this? I said, yeah, and stay in it. Well, what do? He got in it, made a bunch of money. And then he panicked and jumped out when it really took off. And I told him, I said, you should, so it's a tough thing to get into. But I think in general, there's certain technology stocks that are going to go to the moon. I think one of the most encouraging things is what Jim Richards had talked about, and this is something nobody seems to talk about. There's like 150 trillion estimated dollars. That's a lot of money in the western portion of the United States. Ever since the Civil War, they shut this place down. I think it was in the 1857 or 1860, something like that. Congress made this pact to stop all the natural resource mining in the western portions of the United States. Well, that just got released during right before Trump went into office. And you're going to see precious metal mining go on and developments in this country like you've never seen before. I mean, just the fact that they're opening up, again, petrochemicals. This clown running this state, we call him Gruesome. He just got shoved back because he wanted to eliminate all the semis in this state running diesel. Now, you talk about insanity. I mean,
he's an idiot.
He's a tool. I actually know people who work with him, and he will follow orders to the T. I call him Boy Wonder. He literally is put there as a showman, in my opinion. He does exactly what he's told to do. And this whole new one world order really thought that they were going to destroy 3/4 of the human race and incarcerate everybody or get rid of us, and have a few people running it in AI, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I think we're seeing a resurgence right now, whether you like Trump or hate Trump. Give it time. The astrology says, and that's what I was mentioning before we had all this problem with the audio. The inauguration Trump, or the inauguration chart of Trump was stunning. I went back through every inauguration of every president in this country, and not a single one of them rose their hand and took the oath, whether they put their hand on the Bible or not, because I know that was a big conspiracy too. He didn't put his hand on the Bible, right? But the interesting thing about this inauguration is Trump was sworn in precisely on a Sun-Pluto conjunction. Now you might say, well, what does that mean? I've never seen it before. That is total transformation. And they can demean Pluto from being a planet all they want. Every time I say Saturn and Pluto conjunctions and conjunctions of other planets, it's powerful. Pluto's like a magnifying glass. It just amplifies whatever it's with. Well, what is the sun? The president. It's also, that's why the founding fathers were totally into astrology. They were Masons, and that's why they always had inaugurations when the sun was close to noon. It put the president, the general signifactor of the leader, at the midheaven. Well, I've never seen an inauguration chart as powerful as the one Trump was signed in on. And what does it mean? It means literally burning down the past and transforming this country in a whole new direction. Probably more significant than even when Washington was signed in. But believe it or not.
So, Jeff, we're running out of time. We just have a few minutes left. But you're talking about, and PK wants to know, where do we put our money? Where is it going to be safe? And so, but you have...
Well, I think precious metals are always safe. And I think there's opportunities right now in rare earth metals that are going to be profound.
Right.
When you see stuff that's being used in computers and AI, that's not going to, I think there's huge opportunities to get filthy rich right now. But, I can't sit here and tell you which one to go buy. But I think there are certain cryptos that are going to really go to the moon. I think
they were talking about, Jamie Dimon's been talking about different ways that they're going to redo the banking situation, and only so much money people are going to be able to take. And the way it's coming across is it's got
he's been putting out a lot of information. I don't know if I buy that 100%.
Well, that's the whole point. It's got people confused now, where before they were yes or no, but now they're totally confused.
Yeah, well, I'm not here, debunking or promoting anything.
Know that, but
I look at the charts right now.
I do him.
Yeah, I think,
how can, because I got to wrap in a couple of minutes. How can people get in touch with you if they want to have this insight about their finances? What's the best way to reach you and schedule something?
Yeah, that's really the way to go. I can't give anybody financial advice, but I'll tell you what the chart says. The best way is jeff@jeffharman.com. And then also people can tune into my podcast, which is Jeff Harman Astrologer on YouTube. I haven't been quite as frequent as I'd like to be because I'm so doggone busy with clients. But I'm starting to do more lives, and I usually put out a podcast every Sunday morning. So, I talk about a lot of that stuff in there. But very volatile times right now, but I get it's going to be good. The Empire is going to try and strike back right around 228. That's the one I'm worried about.
Okay. Yeah. But until then, we can find you at jeff@jeffharman.com for an email sent over to schedule an appointment. And then people can ask their questions about what is best for them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So that's very comforting, I hope, to our audience members.
Yeah, I even work with remote viewers. It's fun stuff. It's fun stuff.
Terrific. Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure where we are. We've lost Bill. Bill, how much time do we have left? I don't know. He's gone.
He's gone.
It was a nice show. I wish I could have seen you.
I know. Well, listen, Jeff, we're going to have you back.
You got to come back. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, when we don't have these crazy audio problems. So, anyways, thank you so much for coming.
You're so welcome, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jeff. And give that charming wife of yours a hello for me, please.
You bet. I sure will. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you. And we'll be back next week with another great show, everybody. Until then, see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good night.